You are live.
Wonderful. Hello, everybody. Um, I am Nicole. I am one of the sales and leasing managers at the Westlake and Lake Travis office. I am also an Army brat and an old Army wife as well. So a lot of the lingo and stuff that I'll be talking about, I'll explain to you. Um, just best ways to help current military members as well as members that have served, that have retired. Hold on, I'm putting my phone on do not disturb because that thing will go crazy. Just ways to help people that have served our country, and they deserve a little bit of money in the end. And, a lot of enlisted people, their poverty, when you look at the paychecks of what enlisted members get in the military, their poverty, it's pretty bad. But when we're able to rebate part of our commission, that helps them out. And when they get that little check at the end, it's so fantastic. And then you're going to look like a rock star. It's going to be a great way for you to be able to market yourself that way to help military members. Can you imagine if you give them a check, an $1,800 check at the end of closing, and it says, from David Riggs, thank you for your service on the bottom of the closing disclosure? They're going to be like, oh my gosh, David, he's our amazing agent and he just gave us $1,800. You need to totally talk to David. And it's just going to go like wildfire. So make sure you do that. I'm going to, did we deny that call or someone's in there? Okay. Well, anyway, let's get going. So this is a program that is U.S. Military on the Move. It's powered by leading real estate companies of the world. As you guys know, that's part of our relocation department as well. So what's so amazing about this is that it's something that is, we can do it nationally. We can also help globally. There are some stipulations in that, but we'll circle back around to that later. My presenting notes are not here, so I'm going to wing a lot of this. So the U.S. Military on the Move, it's a free rebate program that is for all that who have served. The whole main thing is that we want them to make sure that if they've severed from the Army or if they've retired, that retirement, of course, is fine. But if they've severed from the Army, that they have an honorable discharge. And if you say things like a DD 214, that is a piece of paper at the end of their military when they are done. This is something that they will keep forever. They know where it is. It's almost like American Express. They probably even have like a PDF on their phone of that DD 214 because it's that important. But it's just, or the program with it being free, it's just a great way of saying thank you and helping them buy a little piece of land in Texas, just giving them kind of like that little extra added incentive. So the rebates are great. And so with JB Goodwin, we've, of course, we're coming up on our 50th anniversary, the amount of things that we've done. There's just some things that are absolutely important. We, of course, helping people is the job, what we do. We're not just helping our current clients, our past clients, we're helping everybody in our community. And the military makes up a great deal of our community. There's lots of military members out there. This plan, our plan is simple. You're just going to want to make sure that you're on time. And for a military member, 15 minutes early is on time. If you're late, things happen. Just the whole thing of staying in contact with that military member and letting them know that, hey, I'm sorry, there was an accident, I had a blowout, whatever it is. But being 15 minutes early for them is typically on time. Do what you say. When you say that you're going to get them some information about a property, or you're going to um, get them in contact with somebody, that a special inspector or something, you're just going to make sure that you're doing what you're saying. That's very big on integrity, and they really love that part of that transaction. Finish what you start. Well, that's the whole goal. We have to finish what we start, because at the end of the day, to help them out, we're going to get that commission at the back too. So we want to help them too and finish the goal. The whole goal is for a seller to sell and a buyer to buy. And sometimes, you have to kind of like juggle those things in between. Um, just making sure that you're staying in contact with them, and it's going to be good. Sometimes, like the military member, the spouse might be overseas while you're in the process of purchasing a home. There's great things that you're going to want to make sure that you look into. If there has to be a power of attorney, That's something that you're going to need to make sure for the state of Texas. This is like a really big thing. You're going to have a special power of attorney. The great thing is that military member is going to be able to go to a JAG office, even overseas. They'll have somebody that will be able to do that. The title company might even be able to help you with that, whether it's buy or sell, but it's going to have to be house specific. You can't have a general power of attorney in the state of Texas anymore to purchase a house. So they're also going to have to do like a welfare check basically on the day of closing. So that's something that's super important. So, make sure that you tell that military member, okay, well, we're closing at 10 o'clock in the morning. What time will it be for you? I'm so sorry. It's going to be 2 in the morning. You're going to have to stay awake because that title company is going to want to call that soldier and say, are you authorizing your spouse to purchase this property for you? So those are just great tips. So this is a program that as we've touched so many different people, we have the ability to help to reach out to 130,000 different associates around the world with leading real estate companies of the world. It's the same thing with the relocation. We're just able to help so many different people reaching out that way. Our reach is strong. Remember that saying of we're not just global, we're local. Or the other way around. We're not just local, we're global. So we're able to help people abroad as well as like if they're in Germany and or Korea and Japan, wherever they're stationed, we're able to help them there as well. So it's important to be committed to helping our troops. Having that working knowledge is important. So some of the terms and the terminology that we talk about when we're speaking with a military member is important. You don't want to sound like you don't know some of the terms, and of course, some of the lingo you're not going to know, and that's fine too. They don't expect you to know it, and they're not going to um, be frowned. They're not going to frown upon if you don't know some of the terms, which is cool. At this point in time, most of them are so into civilian life anyway. They're not going to speak Army or Navy terms, and you're gonna wonder like, what did they say? But you're also going to want to remember, just if you don't know, ask. That's the best question ever, is ask a question if you have a question. So it's great to have real estate companies that we can deliver if they're selling their house here, and we're going to be able to help them sell their property here and give them a rebate here. Maybe where they're moving to, they might not be able to. There's certain states, and as I said, we'll circle back around to that shortly. But you just want to set those expectations. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we might not be able to get you military on move, but I'm going to do my absolute best. Once you have that information of where your new duty assignment is, we're going to see if that's going to be a place where we can also allow you to take part in this amazing program with military on the move. So the great thing is, and this is what I absolutely love so much, there were other companies that I've interviewed before I started with JB Goodwin that they offer a military kind of like a rebate program, but it's not partnered with the broker. So this is what's so great. So we're rebating 20% of the commission, and it's not just coming out of your pocket as the agent, it's coming out of JB's pocket too. So right off the top, that 3%, 20% comes off of that. And so, when I say that, and I'm telling my friends and my family that are military, and I say that we're partnered in this together because we want to thank you so much for your service, they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. So it's not just coming out of your pocket. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. We are so glad that you have sacrificed so much for us and your family as well. And we want to just thank you. So what's so great about this program also is that there's no rebate limit. So if you're buying a $1 million home, and even with a VA loan, that can be done as well, or if they're doing a conventional jumbo loan, there is still no rebate limit. So it's still 20% off that 3% off the top, which is great. Also, there's freedom from lenders. They can choose whatever lender they want. If they're going to go with your preferred lender with P&L, or they're going to go with somebody else if they pick USAA or whatever. Even if they use USAA, as long as they don't go into that military program, they're still able to receive that 20%. So there's some stipulations there. So it's important that that it's not just limited to one lender, because some lenders, they have different options and different things that are going to give them different prices. They're going to charge them different things. So it's a great ability for them to choose whoever they want to work with. That's going to work best for their family. That's that whole thing at the bottom. It says, "You've protected our freedom, so we want to offer you the freedom to choose the mortgage that's best for you." We're not going to say, you have to do it this way. They can choose, which is great. Power of choice is amazing. So, with our agents, we have to understand those simple things of like understanding the PCS process and then unique needs for that. So, it might be as the point of in the PCS, which I'll explain later. But for right now, it's that permanent change of station, and that military member might actually go to that PCS move. They might actually be stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington, prior to the house sales here in Texas. Sometimes they can, finagle it around where they're able to take leave, where it can all happen, kind of like fall into place, like the dominoes work perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. So you're going to be that great resource to, stay in contact with that spouse that's back. She might need some extra information on, hey, it might be something as simple as like, my tire, just, like, what do I do? Have a AAA number in your phone. Call that AAA or give her that number. Be that source of the source. Give them that extra added, because when that service member is gone and that family member is at home holding down the fort, packing up the boxes, getting everything prepared for the packers to come through, it's like a whirlwind, and that spouse is their life is just in shambles, and everything happens when they're gone. Trust me, everything happens when the service member is gone. Um, Help with the military and consumer on base. So know things like what's the post, what if it's post for Army, of course. So up in Fort Hood, know if they have like any properties that are available for renting. They sometimes will like put just civilian homes, and they will allow military members. It's just solely for military because sometimes they come in and it's so fast. I don't understand how the market is going right now with that. It might just be a free for all, honestly. So, but understanding the market, and that's something that we do every day. So that's not a big thing. But if they're PCSing, and it's important that if they're going to a new city, that we just talk about setting those expectations again. We're going to make sure that you're going to be able to talk to an agent that is going to understand your need, and they're going to be able to help you as well. And if it's possible, hopefully you'll be able to get that military on the move rebate there as well, which, could you imagine like 1800 here, 1800 there? That's pretty good. They might be able to buy that brand new refrigerator and washer and dryer that they've been wanting. So we have elected to expand the military on the move, not just for active duty, but we're doing it for the retired. And as I said, wounded warriors, and as well if they've severed from the military. The whole thing is that it has to be an honorable discharge. If it isn't honorable, if they did something bad, they got their hands smacked and they got kicked out of the army, they probably don't deserve that rebate. The army has kicked them out for a reason, or the Navy, or the Marines, or Air Force. There's a reason. Let's not go ahead and give part of our commission to say thank you. So honorable discharge on the DD 214, and they'll know exactly what it is. So this is the rebate states. Cash rebates are not allowed in all states. Texas does allow cash rebates, which is great. However, in some states, gift cards, commission rebates can be done in lieu. So Alaska, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma, Oregon, Tennessee. So the great thing about this is you're not going to have to remember all of these states. There's not going to be a quiz at the end. Remember all of the things that you are looking for. You can always find them in the hub. When in doubt, hub it out. All of this information is in the military on the move folder. You'll have all of this in there. But so those are the states that do not allow that. But then there's certain states that have restrictions on it. So Alabama, Iowa, and Kansas. So, if they're moving to Fort Lewis, Washington, they're good. Colorado, Fort Carson, Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado, things like that. They're going to be great and probably be pretty excited that you're going to be able to help them and help them get a rebate there as well. So some off reference material. I thought this was pretty cool. So in the Austin MSA area, there are over 110,000 veterans. This is just veterans. This is not active duty. This is only veterans. That's a huge number in just our Austin MSA. So that's of course, our 5 counties. I think that's fantastic. In the state of Texas, there's 1.5 million military veterans. That's huge. Can you imagine if the reach that you can do? Getting on to the Canva, do the design center and sending out stuff like that. If you just don't, if you're not from here, the amount of reach that you can have of helping a military member, you never know who you might be able to reach and help. So when you're addressing military members, it's super important that they're going to kind of let you know how they want to be addressed. If it's a colonel, he might want to be addressed by Colonel Jones or however. But 9 times out of 10, they are human and they can separate themselves from the military to the civilian life is what I always tease. After my husband retired, we called him a silly villain. But chaplains, physicians, they're not going to be called an officer or something. They're going to be called Dr. Jones or Dr. Mark or whatever their name is. But they're going to inform you of how they want to be addressed, and it's just something. It's just common courtesy. Not using the slang like Sarge. If it's sergeant, make sure it's sergeant. But a sergeant, of course, through the military ranking is just an E5. So you need to figure out what kind of sergeant it is because that might be bad as well. So they'll let you know how you should be, how they want to be addressed. They might probably will just go by their first name, honestly. So when someone says, this is the kind of like military terminology. When someone talks about active duty, that means they are actively serving in the United States military. It's not, they're not out of it. They're actively working in the military. Advance pays, you'll hear things of they're able to get an advance pay from their paycheck when, if they're moving, it allows them to get some extra money for moving expenditures, things like that. Typically, advance pays, they don't do a lot of for the fact of, they'll give you that money and they'll take it back really quick. It's just the government, the government. It's kind of like the IRS, same thing. Yes, David, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. I was being in the military for 21 years. Now what they've done, they've just give everybody the credit card, right? So you don't have to
Yeah,
do advance pay
yeah,
anymore. It makes things a lot simpler. Just make sure you don't overspend.
right, because they'll take it back quick. They absolutely will. Yes. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. So BAH, your basic allowance for housing. This is something that is amazing. If they are not living on post or on base with the military housing, they're going to get this money, and it goes by where you live. So in Austin, I have a spreadsheet later that I'll show you that shows you how much they're going to be able to receive with dependents as well as without dependents. So a single soldier will receive so much money, so on and so forth. Um, BOQ, that's your bachelor's officer quarters. It's kind of like an apartment. It's kind of like a dorm. It's basically a dorm, but it's for the officers. Your COLA, that's your cost of living allowance. You'll see a lot of that in higher areas. David, you might be able to kick in with that. I know California, you'll see that. Of course, overseas, you'll see cost of living allowance into their paycheck. But honestly, when you're looking at it, you're not the one that's qualifying them for the loan. That's going to be the lender. They're going to understand what those are looking like. So also, if there is a COLA allowance on their pay stub and they're giving that lender and they're currently in Germany, when they move to Austin, that might not be there. So that's going to might change a little bit of their buying power. And that's just something to be aware of. But that lender, if you have that good relationship with that lender that understands and works with military, they're gonna understand, they're gonna know, and they're gonna point you into the right direction of what they need to do. So CONUS, of course, that's your continental United States. If you have OCONUS, that's outside of the continental United States. So things, if they say they're doing a CONUS move, that means they're going to stay within this continent. It talks about the Consolidated Personal Property Shipping Office. That's a lot. Everybody pretty much calls it the transportation office. They're going to the transportation office because they've got to schedule a time when a packer comes, and they come in like a fleet. It's like a herd of people, and they come with boxes. And if you're not careful, they will pack your trash. David can probably attest to that. It's pretty terrible. So most military members there and spouses, they're prepared. They know this. You know what would be great on that day when that spouse, because the sponsor's already gone, which is the military member, if he's already gone or she's already gone, and that spouse is there with the kids and the packers are coming, bring a tray of sandwiches and bottles of water for those packers to be able to have some food. They're going to take better care of that service member's furniture wherever they're moving it to. Trust me, works wonderfully.
And something maybe those who aren't military may not know this. There's a weight allowance that members are granted based on what your rank is. And
Correct.
so if people get things packed unnecessarily, like it happened to me, I got trash packed in my move. Well, that weight of that trash counts against my weight limit. So I may end up paying a difference of whether if I'm overweight, I have to pay the difference of that. So
that's very true as well.
So
Yes.
it's so important that when things are being packed, that they understand what needs to be set aside. It's not packed. Maybe the family's taken with them, and what can go on the truck to be moved.
Yeah, and you might wanna bring, like, maybe, like, a little go kit for that spouse that's staying back that has, like, tape so they can tape off, "This is the area, don't pack this," kinda like a caution tape, if you will, that kinda gives that packer the information of, "This is the kids' toys, whatever stuff that we need that we're gonna take with us." That might be something. And you had a question?
Yes, ma'am. What I was wondering, this all sounds like it's going to be for their primary residence, not an investment property.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
But yes, absolutely. But I mean, if they're doing an investment property and they have that active, either they're active duty veteran, you can still offer them that rebate. I've sold a couple of properties to the same person, and they were able to receive that military rebate throughout. As long as they were active duty, they're a veteran, and they have an honorable discharge. I want to thank them, and they keep referring me business. So I have no problems with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we talk also about Diddy Move. Diddy Move is do it yourself. And that's a little bit of what David was talking about. That's like if you're going to go rent a U-Haul trailer because you know you're not going to make weight, because when you moved last time, you were right on the cusp and then you bought some more furniture, you know you're not going to make it. So you can do a Diddy Move, rent a truck. You have to go get it weighed empty, and then you have to go get it weighed full, and then they're going to give you some of that. So it's just great information to know that they have different things like that. So your dislocation allowance, it's great for service members. So it's part of that out-of-pocket expenses, miscellaneous things with moving, pays for, that food, gas, things like that. I think that link down there, the National Defense Relocation Program, that is a great something to keep a hold of if you want to pass that on for your clients. FSA, which is your family separation allowance. So that is if that military member, there's another one that kind of like goes along with the COLA. If they are stationed in Korea, where the family member is still here in Texas and they're getting ready to move to Fort Carson, Colorado, they're also getting extra money. They're getting money for being separated from their family. That COLA, as well as that family separation, is going to go away once they become a unit again. So, but like I said, your lender that knows the military and understands these terms is going to be that great resource, and they're still going to be able to qualify them accordingly. Your household goods, that's your personal property. That's your POV, your personal operating vehicle. That's your bed, your sheets, all of the kit and caboodle, except for the dogs and the children. The shipping office, of course, that's still part of your transportation. We talked about that. CONUS, which is outside of the continental United States, and your PCS, that's your permanent change of station. So those are great things. There's just a little bit more per diem. They get per diem allowance. You get so many dollars per day. for lodging as well as for food per family member. And it's just something great. If you do it right and you have family members in between places, you can save that little per diem allowance, and then you have little spending money on the other side when you go. Permissive TDY, that's typically a short-term duty assignment. It's not going to be something that's going to be big. They're going to kind of come and go. If it's like a 90-day move for that sponsor to go to a Kwajalein or Japan or just something, they're going to be able to do that. Quarters, that's your living your living area. That's if you talk about quarters, that's typically your house on post or base. So if you hear those words, quarters, you don't think the coin, think of their living, where they're currently living at, their house that they're living. Temporary duty, that's just a small assignment that they're doing. It's anywhere between 50 to 5,000 miles away. It could be temporary duty from, like, if they're stationed here at Camp Mabry and maybe they're having to do temporary duty up at Fort Hood because of that distance, they're just going to call it that. You have your TLA, which is your temporary lodging allowance, and then your TLE, which is your expenses, and those kind of all go in hand. But these are things that you really don't need to know. It's just good things that if you hear something like that, just understand that that is all part of that military lingo that they sometimes spew out. Military loves their acronyms. It's pretty great. Troops. Veterans Administration, that's great. They have so many great programs and stuff for veterans, and it's something good. It's good to have that information and find those links for that, so you can help those military members and the spouses as they're here and getting ready to leave and stuff. So living on base versus living on the economy. They say that on the economy, you'll hear that a lot. Living on the economy is if they're going to buy their own home in Austin or in Georgetown. That's on the economy. They're not living on a military installation. So I had to put this in because the slides, when I got them, they did not have an Army rank, and I am Army all the way. David, hopefully you're Army as well. But I put the Army ranks in there. Just the main thing.
Unfortunately, I had to suffer through the Air Force for 21 years.
So, well, that's not suffering. I do Army Air Force. That's not bad.
Right. Yeah.
I was, we were stationed at Air Force bases, Colorado Springs. We were at Peterson Air Force Base, and actually my son was born at the Air Force Academy, which is pretty cool.
Oh, Colorado Springs, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I've heard most Army families prefer living near on the Air Force bases because they have better facilities.
They have better facilities. The grocery stores, the commissaries, they call a grocery store HEB is the military commissary. And yes, the Air Force Base ones did have better groceries. Yes, I don't know why, but they did. Your enlisted rank, these, so you never want to call an enlisted person an officer, and you never want to call an officer an enlisted. They're going to tell you how to be addressed. An enlisted person is going to say, I'm not an officer, I work for a living, whereas an officer is going to be the other way. And it's just how that goes. But like I said before, that service member is going to tell you how they want to be addressed. And if it's a veteran, they probably don't want any part of that. They're just going to be like, I am me. I'm David Riggs. I've retired. I'm grateful. I'm happy I was able to serve, but I don't need to be addressed as such. So it just depends on that individual. But just make sure you keep mind for that. But of course, here are your Air Force ranks, of course, with your officers, generals, all the way down. The insignia is not on there because each insignia for each different service is different. Like the cluster, the oak leaf cluster on one is something, I don't understand it. But just remember, just address them. They're human. They won't beat you in the square, I promise. Here's some for the Marine Corps. It's gonna, like I said, it's pretty much the same thing, but you're just saying, being respectful and not calling them Gunny Sarge or whatever. Be respectful, ask how they would like to be addressed. And here it is for the Navy. And I bet you if you call somebody in the Navy a squid, they might be upset. And don't tell the Marines that they eat crayons, just so you know. Little jokes that we would always say. So here's that VAH. When we were talking about it earlier about what housing, what the military gives somebody for housing in the city of Austin with certain zip codes. Okay, now this is really small. I have to get close to the computer because I cannot see. So if you are an E5, you receive $1,656 without dependent. That's a single person. So that's how much money that service member gets a month on top of their base pay, which is pretty cool. So if they're higher ranking, of course, that goes up. If they're officers, that goes up as well. So that's just great information for them, for you to know. That's their buying power right there. That lender is going to understand what that buying power is. And that's something that you're just going to have to keep in contact with. And I see, did you have your hand raised again?
No, I need to take it down. I apologize.
That's okay. I just looked over and I saw it again. I'm so sorry. Okay. So here are other rebate programs, and it is so small and I really can't see that, but I do know that in the third column over, that's Navy Federal Credit Union. And I know that if it's at a $600,000 property, I think they offer like $3,400. Correct me if I'm wrong. But with the military rebate program that we offer, and with the lender freedom that they're going to be able to do if they're going to use our military on the move program, they're going to receive $3,600 versus $3,400. Plus, they're going to be able to choose whichever lender that they want to work with. That lender might not charge an appraisal fee. They might say, "Thank you so much for your service." They might be able to get something like free from like that as well. Make sure you partner with a great lender is something to say. But there are some programs like USAA. It only goes up to 400,000. So even if this service member has the ability to buy $1 million house, USAA is only going to allow them to have a rebate up to 400,000. That's it. That's all they get. And I think that amount is $1,500. That's all they are able to receive. So do the math. $1 million property, 3% of that $1 million commission, 20% off of that. That's how much you're going to be able to give back to that service member. And that is going to be so much information and so powerful when they have that information on the bottom of that closing disclosure, to thank you for your service from Aaron, whoever, whatever you're doing, make sure you have, keep in contact with that title company. And they're going to be able to show that you are grateful for their service. And they're going to think that you're a rock star. And they really will be passing all this information around. But there are other programs that are able to help the military members. But I just think it's just so great that that we're able to do that and help them, guide them through this process, give them that little bit of extra information, give them money on the side as well, and then offer those simple tricks of getting the food for the transportation for the packers. So, and it's typically when the packers come in, it is typically big companies. Those big moving van companies that come in with the big semis, they will come in and it's literally like it's mass chaos. They'll have like 8 to 10 people packing. If you bring sandwiches and food for them, they really, one, you can pass out cards to the people that are packing. You're getting business that way as well. Two, you're going to help your seller be that rock star, and they're going to get their furniture taken care of, because once they get to the other side, they're not going to have a ding in the refrigerator, a scratch on their headboard, or on their dining room table. They just take better care. They'll wrap it a little bit better. So, and when we're negotiating the contract, it's important that we communicate this rebate with the lender. This is something that you want to start at the beginning of the process. Of course, if you're having your preferred lender and they understand military, they're already knowing that you're going to do this military on the move program. You're able to get this document from the hub. Of course, it's in that military on the move folder that has all the stuff in there. But this is important because it has language in there that is important for a lender. And it's also something that if it's a VA buyer, a VA buyer cannot receive more money than they put into the earnest. So say for instance, it's that $600,000 house, and the rebate would be $3,600. But what if they only put down $3,000 for earnest? They wouldn't be able to get that rebate back as such. But the way our market is, we already know that a $600,000 home, it's going to be 1%. So they're going to be putting down $6,000 for their earnest money. That rebate is still going to be able to come back at the end. But as I said before, just make sure you have those lines of communication open early on with that lender, and they have this form in their hot little hands so they can help them as well. So it's important that when you're providing this rebate, just make that note on that, either your buyer's representation agreement or your exclusive right to sell on the ABOR agreements that we use for those. Make sure you put that on there. That's going to give that service member that extra added feel that you are going to see through the deal of what you guys have discussed and the excitement that they're going to receive from that. So when we're doing that, of course, all of that information is going to be able to go onto the DA. Your office managers are going to be able to have all of that taken care of. When you're submitting in your DTR in the transaction room, there's 2 places where you're going to need to show that, and I'll show you where that is as well. So in the DTR, at the bottom on the right column, there's a spot where it says, is this a military on the move transaction? And you're going to click yes, and a little box will pop up there. And I always put 20%, and I put the amount, but then I also take a second step, and I also write in the notes, military on the move transaction, please apply 20% rebate. It's just that added checks and balances to make sure that that service member is going to get that at the closing table, because you don't want to sit there when you've promised that they're going to get this money, and then at the closing table and you're looking and you're like, oh no. Just make sure, mistakes happen. We're all human. Let's just do those double checks and balances to ensure that our office managers make sure that that gets in there. So when accounting sends everything out, we're all set to go. This is also part of the commission structure, and this is what it looks like. And because you guys are taking this class today, you guys are going to be level 1. It's not going to go into a relocation. So please make sure that you don't put it towards that relocation. This is just going to be a straight commission. So whatever commission split you have negotiated or where you're at currently in your commission structure, your military on the move is going to come from there. So like I said, of course, it's your commission split at the top, the 3%, 20% comes from there. And then of course you have your E&O insurance comes off, your ad tech fee, and then your commission structure splits from there. And whether it's 80-20, 90-10, wherever you may be, that's where it comes from. So you can kind of see what it's going to look like. Military relocation professional is an amazing designation that you can get. It's something, it's cheap. I think it's only $99. You'll take a class. I think it's a day class, and then you're going to have to watch like an hour video or something. I have the designation, but the great news about that is that you get to use it forever. You don't ever have to renew it. You don't ever have to pay another fee for it. It's something that's always going to stay on there. And you're able to, when you've done this designation, you're able to use this logo as well to show them that you are a military relocation professional, that you understand the military lingo and you understand some of the ins and outs of how to help a military member better. The VLB, Veterans Land Board, they have amazing classes. I have helped 2 of my veteran family members purchase land through the VLB. Now I'm going to warn you now, it was the longest process I'd ever gone through on a sale. It took over 72 days, but they were able to buy 50 acres of land, and they only had to put down 50 or 5%. Versus a conventional lender or a bank where they're going to get a loan from, you have to put 20% down. So if they are in the military and they've served the military and they want to buy land, you can do that. This is a great classes you guys can take. If you take these classes and you can get onto their websites, they'll give you the authorization to get onto their websites once you've taken their classes. They have tips and tricks and tools for you to be able to market to veterans. I'll get to you in a second, David. where they can you can market to veterans, and like you can do mail outs and you can find out where these veterans are. Also, another good tip for that, if you don't take that class and if you're just right now trying to help somebody out, it's also good, you know what to do. Get on your MLS, and you can go into your realist tax and you can search for whoever has a veterans exemption. That's a great way, and then you can market to them. Go ahead, David.
I got a question about the VLB. Does that apply to any land purchase in Texas, or is it only certain properties within Texas?
It's land within Texas. So I help my buyers. They purchased, it was like past Red Rock. So I believe it goes for any land in the state of Texas. Of course, you know, you're not going to want to go help them find land in El Paso, because you know that's out of our geographical knowledge. But yes.
The reason I'm asking, I've received several flyers the last few weeks about different land opening up in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hill country, you know, whatever, and the land seems pretty reasonable for what they're offering. It's not developed, but I didn't know if that was because being done by a private developer, if that was something that was offered, if a BLB was able to take advantage of that.
Well, you know, I think the best thing to do for that would be reach out to the VLB, take one of those classes and see if that would be something. They are really great classes, and they really do. They give you all kinds of information of how to market to veterans. They want you to help veterans, and they kind of like give you all the tips and tricks how to do that. Marketing, which is great. Make sure you get onto that marketing if you have a property. If you have a property up in Georgetown or Jarrell and you're listing this property, put flyers like this out there. Put like a little TP card that says, ask me about military on the move. Can you imagine how many military members from Fort Hood travel because they don't want to live anywhere near Fort Hood? They want to get away from the military as much as they possibly can at night, come to their little sanctuary. A lot of military members even go as far as Georgetown, honestly, for purchasing homes. But if you're having an open house, have that information out there. Have them ask that question, like, what is this military on the move? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Are you active duty or retired, or, you know, how can I help you? Oh, I'm active duty. Well, that's fantastic. I want to first of all say thank you so much for your service. I have partnered with JB Goodwin, and this is just such an amazing thing that we love to give back to our military members. We rebate 20% of our commission back to you, the service member, for a purchase or a sale of a property. And then they're like, 20%. They're like, and then they want to know more. Then you take all that information down, and voila, you have a contact, and that's how you stay in contact with all of them. So, but it's also a great place to look at the VA centers. They have great, you can go market to them. Spend time at the VFW, the American Legion. Go bring them lunch one day. These are old military members that love to tell war stories. They've probably told them 100 times, because I know my dad has told me the same story at least 79 times. My dad is 83. He retired with 24 years in the Army. So, and he was a combat engineer. No, was he a combat engineer? No. Yes, he was. He used to build ice bridges in Alaska, which I thought was pretty cool. But some of those stories are so funny, and they love talking about it. It's just a great way. If you're bored one day, go sit out there, talk to them. Who knows? They might have a son that's in the military that needs to buy a house. You never know where that next connection is going to come from. Talk to USO. One of my very good friends, she runs the USO at Fort Hood. Her name is Isabel Hubbard. They have great volunteer need a lot. If you're wanting to get out there and volunteer, this would be a great way to do that. Of course, you could always do your JB Giving shirt as well. Going out there showing that you're giving back to the community. Erin Sestero, and of course, she is the one that has kind of like brought this program with JB to our company. She had a horrific time when she first moved prior to real estate, when she first moved to San Antonio. She was sent through this relocation company to look for some homes. Her Her husband, that's the military member, he was still away. So she came, she flew in. The agent was one, late. He was 35 minutes late meeting her for showings. Two, because of the commission that he was getting less than 1% of the commission on the sale of his house. He was showing her homes that were like $200,000 to $300,000 out of their price range, just because that's what he wanted to do and he wanted to recoup some of his money. So Erin's like, this has got to stop. There's got to be a better way. And here is the Military on the Move program. She has an amazing Facebook page that you guys can take example from. Do something like this. Get in contact with those military groups, those military mom groups that you can get in there, where you can offer, be that source of that source, offer that information of things about moving, or whatever information that you can provide that is going to be great for that military member. And you'll see on there sometimes, hey, I'm looking for an agent. And that's when you say, pick me, pick me. It's super simple. This is a flyer, and last year alone, we have given back $132,000 to military members, thanking them for their service. So that's amazing rebates that we've been able to give back to service members. It's something to be proud of, that we are able to help so many different people. And this is something that you can post on your Facebook page. Let them know how we can help them, and then that's going to spark that conversation and keep it rolling. Erin also does like postcards throughout. You can get on with your Quantum. You can have these made there, and where you can send them out to those military members. Remember, I talked about getting onto the MLS and looking for that homestead exemption and the veterans exemption. Click that veterans exemption, and you can send out to these people. You can create another list and import that list over to Quantum. They send out those cards for those military members, and it just keeps you in contact that way. We have those great checks in the office, and I haven't seen it in so long. But the bad thing about these is you have to write it and you have to erase it right away after you take that picture, because it stains so badly. But get out there and take those. They love getting that little bit of money. I was able to help Michael. I helped him buy a home in this cute little bungalow in San Marcos. Think about for an open house, if you're able to get one of these signs that says, ask me about cash at closing, because it's really literally kind of like cash at closing. They really see it on there, and it really has your name, and it says thank you. And it's amazing because there's no limit, that lender freedom, and it really does something to benefit that soldier. Have Ken Pink had the Military on the Move. Stick that in a sign in the yard. As people drive by at this day and age, you know what I would do? I would add onto it, because I'm the QR code lady. I would add a QR code on there. So they're going to scan it. Maybe they can ask for more information. Click the QR code, and then you're going to be able to capture all of their information, which is cool. And that's all I have, you guys. Please open up your mics. Let me know if you have any other questions.
I have a question for you, Nicole.
Yes, sir.
Earlier in your presentation, you mentioned that J.B. Goodwin reaches out to the community, the military community, through different engagement. Does J.B. Goodwin have any presentations they do for like TAP briefings, or gets on different installations and talks to different military groups, or is that not allowed?
So you're able to do that. We don't have a presentation for that yet. I do know that we're working on the Bridge program, where we're having military members that are retiring able to, as they're in that transition, because they can't receive any kind of money, but they're able to transition into their next career. So they're going to be able to do it that way. So, but we absolutely do need to have some kind of presentation where we can go to the office. I can't even think of the name. Copeland Center on Fort Hood, the transition office, where we're able to talk to those members that are getting out of the Army or the Air Force or Navy, as they're getting ready to transition into the civilian world. It's a great way. It's a great idea. Thank you, David.
Are there any community partnerships? You mentioned USO. I'm in San Antonio, and I know we have a lot of military associated organizations here. is there any partnerships within the communities that we're going out to give the information to Military on the Move program about?
So I don't know about the San Antonio area. Of course, Erin Sestero is going to be your great resource for that. Shoot her an email. She is the guru for that one. Up here in the Austin area, Austin is very much so more of a civilian community. They have Camp Mabry, and of course in Bastrop we have Camp Swift. But to get outside of that, Fort Hood, which is about an hour and 20 minutes away from where I currently am at the Westlake office. Go ahead, John, you had a question?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so I had to figure this out. Have you gone into like the visitor center and put out your cards or put out like a thing showing the military?
That's what I was saying. The Copeland Center. I was saying the Copeland Center, which is the visitor center on Fort Hood. Yes,
Yeah.
I did that a while ago. I've also done things. I've done a clothing drive, a veterans clothing drive for men and women. Because when my husband retired after 22 years in the Army, you're told what to wear for so many years. They tell you what shirt, what pants, what color socks, and everything that you have to wear. And then he got out and he was like, I don't know what to wear. And, isn't it great if they have they can come and they get suits or dresses for women. And there's all these different things that they can, so they can get out into and, start their next career. Because when they're retiring, if they're retiring at 48, they still have, many years ahead of them to be able to enjoy a new career. So do something like that. That'd be a great thing.
Yeah, that's great. I'm a VFW member and a Legion member here because I'm a veteran myself. I did 11 years.
Thank you for your service as well.
And thank you. I was an engineer, like you said, your grandfather.
My dad.
Your dad. Yeah. For an engineer. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I hope you guys are going to be able to use some of this information to, one, help those military members, two, build your business. This is a great way of growing your business if you're wanting to expand it some more. As John said, reaching out to the visitor center as people are coming in. I know the center up at Fort Hood, it's called the Copeland Center. I know exactly where it's at. That would be a great place to maybe pack up some cards and some goodies and bring some stuff up there and leave it for new people coming in. Well, wonderful. If anybody doesn't have any other questions, I think we are done for the day. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay warm. I was a little chilly this morning. You're most welcome, Luke. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Ricarda. I see you on there.